Hey, true believers, Englentine here. And now, Captain America is, was, and always shall be one of my favorite heroes of all time. And the reasoning's very simple. I see him as the Superman of the Marvel Universe. Now, of course, I'm not talking about powers. Don't be ridiculous. But like Superman, he is the hero that other heroes look up to. And I'm not talking about slap the costume on anybody and they get the same reaction. That's just not true. Now, of course, Marvel, they wanted to change Captain America from Steve Rogers to Sam Wilson. I thought that was horrible. Keep Sam Wilson as the Falcon because, you know, he's the first African-American superhero. And I always thought that he was more of a symbol than even Marvel lets on. So I, like a whole bunch of people, hated them turning Captain America into a Nazi. Now, in the MCU, he's played by Chris Evans. I didn't want Chris Evans. I was like, oh my gosh, no, are you kidding me? Human Torch being, I don't see that at all. But yet now, I think he's been played to perfection by Chris Evans. Little did I know, however, that Chris Evans himself is more Nazi Cap, is more Hydra Cap than the Star-Spangled Hero. This shocked me. I mean, I understood that he was to the left, but I didn't know he was so far to the left that he was a Nazi. I didn't believe that he could ever be a dictator. That actually shocked me. However, there's an article that came out recently, and he had been asked what he would do with the Infinity Gauntlet. So Marvel's Captain America, Chris Evans, has revealed that given the Infinity Gauntlet, he would likely use its capabilities to change the balance of political power in the United States. Evans was asked at Ace Comic-Con in Chicago what he, not Steve Rogers, might do with the power of the Infinity Gauntlet if he had a chance. He was hesitant to give a direct answer for fear of dividing fans, but it's easy to read between the lines. The things I would say might be too political for a comic book convention, Evans said. I think I've alienated enough of my base. I think it's pretty clear what I'd probably do. Now, I've heard a lot, not all, but a lot of people really want to put the boot down on politics anymore. They're afraid of anybody who is not them voting because, well, they're just tired of people not them winning. And what that might mean, we've already heard that it's okay to punch somebody who is politically different from you. So how far is he willing to go? That's what I'm worried about. Anyway, the interview continues. Fans who follow Evans on social media likely know that he's an outspoken critic of President Donald Trump. He recently appeared in March 4 Hour Live's Turn Out the Vote video where he said the 2016 election turned out poorly. He also recently criticized rapper Kanye West for pro-Trump statements. Okay, I'm going to get to those statements in just a little bit. Just want to point out one thing. The election did not turn out poorly. The guy in the White House is the person who won, period. Just, your guy didn't win. Let it frickin' go. It's not the end of the goddamn world. Guess what? In a couple of years, and in 4 years after that, we're going to be able to vote for somebody else. It's happened every time. There's nothing more maddening than debating someone who doesn't know history, doesn't read books, and frames their myopia as virtue, Evans tweeted. The level of unapologetic conjecture I've encountered lately isn't just frustrating, it's retrogressive, unprecedented, and absolutely terrifying. No kidding, you think, Chris Evans? I've got a cousin, Chris. I don't want him to think I'm talking about him here, but wow. For an actor, this guy's not very introspective. As a matter of fact, it may be he's played so many other people, he hasn't looked inward yet to see that he is what he says he hates. And I'm pretty sure that his words kind of lead us to the fact that he hasn't read much history because he is dooming himself to repeat it. The interview continues. Evans has played the symbol of all that is good about the United States in the Marvel Cinematic Universe since 2011 when he debuted as Steve Rogers in Captain America: The First Avengers. Avengers 4 will be his goodbye to the character, and he reflected on the best memories of his time playing the Marvel hero during the Ace Comic-Con panel. Now, I think that the politics is already aside, and this is mostly the memories bit. He goes on to say, That's tough because you have memories that are a little more shared and you have memories that are a little more personal, Evan said. I mean, moment, even just like this, that really felt wonderful to hear. To hear. That's the wrong hear. And it'll be nice to hear some cheers. Not to seem saccharine, it's the more personal moments without question. It's the more intimate moments when you process that you are part of something that means a lot to a lot of people for a lot of time. It does almost feel almost kind of like it's happening to someone else. Sometimes it does feel a little out-of-body-ishness, and over a long enough period of time, you start to feel really connected to the experience, connected to the character, and connected to the world. I couldn't tell you what the most memorable thing is. It comes in real subtle ways, but it is the more personal things. And this is where I act like a douche and I throw those words back in his face. He even said at the beginning, he says, I don't want to alienate. I've already alienated enough of my fan base. And he has. There are people who do not want to see Avengers 4 because of the things he said. I mean, he flat out, with his Kanye statement, does he believe that everybody who disagrees with him, that every black person that doesn't agree with him hasn't read a book? That they did not come up with their opinion through thought and through knowledge? And this was what they came up with? That if you do not think like him, you're automatically stupid? This is what he believes? And of course, now by saying, well, does he believe that about all black people, you have to think that, well, Kanye equals all, so that's kind of an off thing to say. Because he could just think about that as, you know, all people, and Kanye is just the one that's in the way right there. But either way, that's a dumbass thing to say. We've all lost elections. We all have. Because there's been, well, okay, if you're young enough, maybe not. Point being, though, everybody's had a point. Well, I voted for this guy and he didn't win. Aw. But what I don't know. I never wished I had this magical gauntlet. I could change the minds of everybody and I could make sure that my party is always in power forever and ever. You know, I mean, okay, let's pretend you have this because this is a pretend situation. Who would win? And would you continue to make sure that only your party won? This guy's bad. He's bad freaking news. Now, you know, and I've heard other people recently say that they don't believe in the liberals anymore. They don't believe in Democrats anymore because of what they've been hearing. Whenever Antifa came out, oh, they said racism and blah, 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 and all of a sudden it became we need to do away with the First Amendment. And, of course, every time there's a shooting, we need to do away with the Second. The Kavanaugh, you had people wanting to do away with the 6th and the 14th. So how much freedom would a guy like Chris Evans really want to shave off? How much is he willing to take away? I mean, if you had a powerful gauntlet that allowed you to do everything, would your first thought be to subject the will of the American people to your own? That's what he said. I mean, you know, any way you want to boil it, what he said was, I want to subvert the will of the American people and change the way things happen. That's what I got out of it. I may be wearing a tinfoil hat on this one, and I understand by putting my opinion out like this, I'm going to get burned. But I'm kind of ready for it on this one. If you step up and you say what I just said and you say the kind of things I've said, you're going to. So I understand. I'm going to get a lot of bad comments on it. Well, if a lot of people watch this, you never know. But, yeah, if you had an all-powerful gauntlet, I guess anything would be subverting something. Like I want to make sure I'm thinner, or I want to make sure I can eat anything I want and be thinner, then you're subverting nature. Or I want to make sure the hurricane doesn't come and kill people, or the tornado, you're subverting nature. I guess if you had the gauntlets in some way, shape, or form, you would. But I don't know. When you say, I'm going to subvert the minds of people I disagree with, then I have a problem. But I'm a nice guy, so I'm going to play devil's advocate and say he was asked this at a comic book convention. So it's like an on-the-spot answer. Maybe he hasn't had enough time to think about it. Yeah, maybe he has. Maybe this is something they've talked about. Oh, what would you do if you had the Infinity Gauntlet? I can understand that. If you're making a movie about the Infinity Gauntlet, I can understand if they had the conversation, what would you do if you had that? So maybe this is a well-thought-out answer to him. Maybe he thought, well, you know, they wouldn't even know to be pissed because I would change their minds. Or, you know, I would subvert the will of the American people, but they wouldn't know because I would make sure they didn't know. Maybe, but you could also say that he's at a convention. He was asked. He had to come up with an answer at the spur of the moment. This is what he came for because on his mind was, you know, hey, Kanye's a douche and President Trump's a douche, so why don't I change the douchebags? It could just be that, a quick off-the-cuff answer that he really didn't think of the consequences it may bring. Not his answer, but, you know, the whole let's pretend situation. Yeah, maybe he just didn't think about it. But what you think about it, that's important. So, and I understand I'm going to get blasted for some of the things I said, so go on ahead. But let me know what you think. Once again, this is a pretend situation because it's a pretend you have the Infinity Gauntlet kind of thing. But his words and his thought are real. So let me know what you think about his words and thoughts, and let me know what you think about what I said about his words and thoughts in the comments below. Also, if you like this video, you want to see more, click like, share, subscribe. And don't forget to hit that notification bell so you don't miss anything. Cool things happen around these parts. Now, this is a way we're trying to make a living, so if you don't mind helping out the channel, go on over to Patreon and drop $1 in the till. Links in the description below. Helps keep making videos for you. I'd like to thank everybody who's already done that, and to everyone, all of the true believers. Thank you very, very much for watching.